right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. If you all please stand and join in the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're here, approval of the minutes from the November 4th meeting. I hear a motion by Legislator Klein, second by Legislator Potter. Any additions, deletions, corrections? Legislator Castillo.
I'm looking at, and I watched the F&P meeting, and I saw that there were changes to the budget that was passed, all the budgets that were passed through this committee. And I was just wondering, what alternative do we have? I know there was some positions that were passed from this committee, but they were deleted. There was no, all right, but there was a salary change.
There was.
Okay, and I disagreed with the budget as it was because I didn't agree with it. But to ask a gentleman to work more hours and lower their hourly rate, I didn't agree with that.
Well, hold on, we're doing the minutes right now.
Right, but that's what I disagree with, because the minutes say that we passed something, but we didn't,
Well, we
now
did.
it's-
In this committee, we passed it.
Right,
Finance and personnel did something different.
but what can we do in retrospect to that? Is there anything that we can do here? Because that's part of our job.
There's nothing you can do here when the budget was passed out of this committee.
All right, okay.
So, any other additions, deletions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Stand approved. Okay, at this time, I would like to take 2 seconds before I do forget about it and recognize Legislator Castler and Potter for your years of service to the county. I know this is your last public safety meeting, so
Thank you.
God bless you. Enjoy your retirement, and thanks for your work for the county.
Thank you.
All right.
You are very welcome.
Resolution PS1 is authorizing the chairman to enter into an agreement with New York State for the Stop DWI program. This is a yearly resolution. Everybody should have received the packet, basically outlining the agreement for the Stop DWI program. I'll entertain a motion on that. Motion by Legislator Klein, second by Legislator Potter. Mr. Lighthall, anything to add?
This plan is the same dollar amount as what we've proposed in the county budget. I just have to change the format in order to fit the state guidelines.
Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. I do want to excuse Legislator Trudell from today's meeting. Thank you. All right, next resolution, PS2, is a budget modification for the Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's recovery transfer to automotive equipment, in the amount of $28,527. Motion on that. Legislator Potter, second by Legislator Castler. Undersheriff, you want to discuss anything on it?
I think we're all set on that. They're just transferring money from a vehicle that was damaged.
Anybody else, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Stands approved. Resolution PS3 is execution of a lease agreement regarding the Fulton Tower site with New Singular Wireless. This is for the Emery Street site, and this is for 1 year at $1,000 a month for option term. Motion on this by Legislator Castler, second by Legislator Klein. Kevin, do you have anything you want to add on this?
Just a quick correction, it's actually $2,200 a month. It's 5 years start off.
You're correct, the base rent, I forgot.
Yes.
I
Yep.
should be an option.
So just real quick to overview that, so the per month rent is actually a little bit higher than normal, what we've been normally getting. However, there's only a 2% annual escalator in there as opposed to 3% as usual. It'll actually take us 18 years to catch up to the fact that if we've gone with the lower rate they were actually requesting and the 3% escalator, so we're actually in a lot better shape for at least the first 19 years.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Stands approved. Next resolution, PS4, awarding a professional service contract to the medical director for both the E911 and emergency management. Any motion on that?
I'll move that one.
Legislator Castler, second by Legislator Chesborough. All right, Kevin?
So this year, we've been working to try and replace our current medical director, whose contract actually expires at the end of this month as it is. But we've been working with Onondaga Purchasing, and we put a bid out and received no responses whatsoever. So we've been trying to figure out what to do in the meantime. We have been approached by a couple different doctors, but Dr. Markham was the doctor that we actually spent some time, and actually is current medical director for others as well in the area. So I'm suggesting that move forward with contracting with Dr. Markham for I think it was at least a year, 1 year, with a possibility to renew after that. The rate's also a little bit higher than it has been in past years, but it was 3 years ago when we last negotiated this, so.
Anything from emergency management?
Dr. Markham lives in the county, which is, he is a medical director for a couple of other agencies. He's the assistant director for the regional EMS council, so he has his pulse on things in Oswego County as well as things that are happening regionally. I think he'll be a good fit for our organization.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. Next resolution, PS5, increasing authorization of capital project number 90, sheriff's vehicles, increasing by $42,854. Do I have a motion?
I do.
Legislator Potter makes a motion, second by Legislator Castler. Under Sheriff, I know you've put this package together, and
What we're looking to do is just move the 42,000, and that's basically from insurance recovery money over into the capital fund to make a purchase that I believe we'll be talking about later under the bid report. Is that?
Yeah.
Correct, Terry? So we're looking to move that money so that we can make a request to purchase some vehicles.
a motion and a second. Any discussion? Legislator Potter.
Over the 14 years I've been here, we've gone from 15 vehicles to whatever, and now we're down to 4 Chevrolets. So I wanted to be sure and make the motion.
Wow. part of the reason, this is a portion of what the purchase would be. Part of this is due to the lack of the Ford Explorers being.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were gonna go to that now or when we go to the bid, but
You can
what we did
discuss
is-
that now.
what we did is we went, when we had the original request for 7 vehicles for 251,000 in February, we ordered 4 Explorers in April or May, and they're still not scheduled to be built by Ford yet because they're so far backlogged. So we haven't got those 4 vehicles in. The reason we didn't order all 7 is because we anticipated a problem, and we've been looking for other options. We had a very hard time because we tried to buy or get some pricing from Burt to stay local on Tahoes. They gave us a very good price, but we couldn't purchase from them because it wasn't along New York State bids. And so I dealt with Onondaga back and forth. We finally put a bid out that came back last Monday for Tahoes from a dealer in Rochester that are about $1,200, I believe. Different than the Explorers more, but it's a lot more vehicle, a lot better resale on the value on the vehicle. So
And they're able to tow more for us.
they're able to
too.
tow, which we really have an issue with some of our trailers not being able to use the Explorers to tow. So in the bid proposal that we're gonna talk about a little later, we're gonna request 4 Tahoes as opposed to Explorers. And the reason we're moving the 42,000 is so that we can do it all in one purchase instead of purchasing out of our money that's in one side of the budget. We'll put it all in a capital project and make the purchase of 4 vehicles.
Makes it clear.
And they're in stock, so the vehicles can come in within a week or 2 of giving them the go-ahead.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. Okay. Resolution PS6, imploring the state of New York to immediately amend or delay implementation of bail and discovery reform laws that will endanger the people of New York and reverse decades of bipartisan progress in reducing crime.
I'll move it
Motion by
for discussion.
Legislator Castler, second by Legislator Kine. Legislator Castler.
I want it for discussion. What are we going to do with this? This is not a smart move as far as I can see. Letting people out that really should stay in the jail. I know it's overcrowded, so what's going to happen when we start having these people getting out or not even going to jail in the first place continue on with their,
That's what our resolution is saying, Margaret.
right,
Is
but,
we're asking the
but-
state,
however, it might pass.
it's already passed, Margaret.
What are we going to do with it?
Margaret, January 1, there are a number of individuals who are sitting in the Oswego County Correctional Facility that will be released. The sheriff has no option but to open the doors and let them out.
Right.
Okay, they're there on the board.
Correct.
Okay, that's already into place. We have no control over that per state law. What we're asking the state to do is reconsider not only that portion of it, but the discovery reforms too that are coming.
Okay, discovery part.
There's a lot of changes in the criminal justice package that was handed down by the state on the locals. It's going to cost us more than $1 million. And not only that, like you're saying, it's going to put a lot of people out in the public, put their lives in jeopardy, could. And also give a lot more work to our sheriff's department and our state troopers and our local police departments that are out there helping to protect us. So is that a little clearer? on there?
Yeah, but that's gonna cost us some more money, trying to catch them again.
Exactly, that's what we're
That's
saying.
what I'm getting at, to try to, he's gotta go chase them up again.
Right,
Sure,
right, exactly, that's what we're saying.
that's what I wanna know, if this is what we're gonna just have to do, give him more money to go chase these people up.
Well, we've done, we've addressed that in the budget as well. We gave him some extra money in his overtime for that. And the other option is that he might even have to, I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but he might have to, formulate like a warrant squad to go out and pull all these people back in.
We're gonna reorganize a little bit, probably a transport squad, since we're not gonna have people to transport anymore. We'll likely become a warrant squad, because the jail population is gonna plummet. I
Saves
suspect,
us a couple of dollars there, but it's not gonna save us a couple of dollars on the outside chasing them up again.
and I don't believe it'll last long anyways, because people will
Good.
stop showing up for warrants, or stop showing up for court, and then we'll have bench warrants, and we'll have to go out and find them again.
Thank you, sir.
My arm was going to sleep.
Right.
Yeah, let it be known that what they passed down to us, I do not agree with. Totally disagree with what they've done. But when you say that you're not in favor of something, you have to say, what are the alternatives to what you say that you want to do? And Margaret's, just piggy off what Margaret said, what are our alternatives to say, okay, state, this is what we suggest we do, instead of just saying, we don't like it. I mean, you guys all say, I always come up with an alternative to every idea that I say I don't like. But I'm saying that there has to be something that we're saying that we would rather do than what is being done. Now, my idea that this all started with this governor closing all this, as many state prisons as he did, okay, stating that they weren't full. But yet what that did is that overcrowded our county facilities, okay, because he didn't have a place to take them. Now, he says the cost at the county level is getting so high, and everybody is voicing their opinions on that cost. So he says, well, this is what I'll do then. I'm gonna let them all out then. And that's not the answer. The answer is open up the state prisons again, so that we can hold them in the state prisons instead of at the county level. But just to say no, it's the only thing I'd like us to have an alternative to what we're saying. Okay, that's all I'm saying, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman.
Well,
Okay,
I don't want to.
don't say he's my governor, he's everybody's governor.
Did we
okay?
all read the resolution?
Okay.
Because the resolves all state what we're asking the state to do. The first
Amendment.
resolve is we're asking the state of New York to immediately amend or otherwise delay the implementation. The second resolve is we're asking to give the judge discretion to impose the bail when appropriate for all the crimes. We're asking to increase the discovery timeline from 15 days to 45 days. We asked to phase into the discovery reform by implying these new mandates only to misdemeanors effective January 1. We require that court appearance reminders are sent not only to defendants but also to the victims. And we extend appropriate dignity, fairness, and respect to crime victims by soliciting input from victim advocate organizations and considering their input, suggestions on this. So we are asking for changes in there. And that's definitely why I wholeheartedly, one of the reasons, of the many reasons why I wholeheartedly support this resolution. It is a very lengthy resolution, However, we do give the appropriate resolves in my eyes, and this isn't just being passed here, this is being passed throughout the state. Because, I mean, this is a plea with the state. We have our local state representatives who are on board with this already. We have a number of resolution or legislation that has been introduced in the state level. We're asking to support that, put the brakes on this. Let's really buckle down on it. I mean, the state attorney general has come out against this already. I mean, this isn't just Republican or Democrat. This is bipartisan across the board saying our people are not safe with this law. And exactly what you're saying, Legislator Castelia. We're all on the same page. We're giving them answers on how to solve this. We're just basically at this point saying, hey, take our words here, help us out.
And I hear what you're saying, okay, Chairman Wilbur. But we're not saying what is the alternative to what you're saying is give us more time, give us more time. That isn't the alternative to what the problem is. The problem is we're overcrowded in all the jails everywhere. And the costs are, are skyrocketing to keep them in jail and to take longer to, to find out the information, the disclosure and everything. But what is the state going to do for us to make sure that we don't have overcrowding in all our jails? And it's not to release the prisoners. That isn't the answer. That's not the answer. It's got to be a better answer than just to release them. And we have to come up with a better solution than give us more time to, to do this, give us more time to do that. It's got to be the state's situation, the state's problem to open up the jails again, the prisons, so that they can take back the prisoners that they've thrown down on the county level and the local level. That's what the answer has to be. As I'm agreeing with this, I'm gonna vote for it, but I'm just saying that this, we have to start saying, the whole state does, and it's gotta be from top to bottom, this is what you have to do. You caused this problem by shutting down the state prisons, okay? Yes, we have a lot of, crimes, but the thing is, you had them in the state prisons, you shut down the state prisons. That was start the problem. I knew it back when he did it. I said, this is gonna put we even said it in this committee, it's gonna start putting more pressure at the county level and in the county jails. And we talked about making a super jail so that we can, at least I mentioned about super jail, that we could house them all here and make some money off it. Well,
Like Super Walmart or something?
well, yeah, we can supersize it and have a fast lane so we can get them in and out, But, that.
What's Greg gonna be the Walmart greeter or what?
See there with his little blue or his little gold. But, what I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, the state has to come out with an answer. It can't just be, we're saying no to it. They have to come up with a solution other than just releasing people. You can't do that.
Well, and I think some of these resolves that we have included in here go along with exactly what you're saying. For the lack of opening up, Butler or another state prison or something around the state, the resolves that are put forward, I think they're manageable. I know that, the DA's looked at it, the sheriff's looked at the resolution. I think they're really manageable, and I believe your associations have looked at this as well. It's like, pump the brakes, let's hold up here, let's try a different approach instead of just, taking all the penalties away here. I mean, because God bless the men and women who are out there protecting us, but it's not going to mean anything if this stuff gets put in place when they can pull somebody over or they arrest them. I mean, quite honestly.
It made it harder for us to get gun permits. What are we gonna do now? We're releasing them and we can't get our gun permits.
We have a motion and a second, Legislator Klein.
I just want to point out that I don't think the public isn't aware of this. I had a person stop at my house the other day, and he was quite upset. And I'm shocked that he would know about this, but he knew about it.
Oh, yeah.
And he asked me a lot of questions about it. One particular place that I go and have coffee in the morning sometimes, there was a whole round table of discussion about it. Fortunately, they all have pistol permits.
That's called court, and we all hold it in our own time.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. But, keep in mind, the people, a lot of them, I can't speak to every area. Of course, my district is along Onondaga County, and we still get a post standard there. And people read this, they listen to it. It's been on the radio on 570 discussing about it. The knowledge of what's happening here is going out. And the people they're not scared as much as they're concerned. They wanna see something being done, especially when we had this highlight there over Mr. Vickers County there, where the guy got hit, or he released him, and then he ends up getting an accident, hitting that tractor, in Weedsport. And that fellow that hit him was picked up about 2 weeks before for DWI.
Oh, you mean Burt's?
I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it was common knowledge. Of course, the media, there's nothing wrong with the media, but they capitalized on that and put it out there, and you know what, they should have. So, I mean, the people are thinking and believing people are getting concerned about this, so.
Well, and to go along with this, there's also a press release that's gonna be released as after passage of this anyways, with quotes from the sheriff and the DA. And, we're also including, teaming up with our state partners on this as well, so. We have a motion, we have a second, anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So approved. Okay. Bid reports, as the under sheriff alluded to, we have bid reports for the 4 Tahoes. And the low bidder, there's no objection to the low bidder, so it's recommending that we award to the low bidder, who is Smart Chevrolet.
Hazelton.
Oh yeah, that's supposed to be highlighted.
WebSmart.
Black and white highlight here, you know, that literally sticks out.
WebSmart was, I believe, 3,000 higher.
Hazelton. I need a motion to award the bid to Hazelton. Boy, Potter's right on that today. He makes a motion.
Hazelton, you're going to Hazelton?
Hazelton.
Yeah, Hazelton. Hazelton. I know I used to bought cars there.
Potter made a motion, second by Klein. Any other discussion about Hazelton? Hazelton?
Hazelton.
Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. There was not a lack of effort to try to get from a local dealer, believe me.
No.
I was a huge proponent of that, and the undersheriff did an awful lot of work trying to get it so we could buy from the Oswego County dealership. And
I voted in favor of that. I got Chevy stock. Am I not?
Oh! Look at those extra charges coming down. Don't worry, I have Ford stock and I'm crying because you're buying Chevys. No. Legislator Klein.
Yeah, I just want to point out, this is not a common problem, being able to get local vehicles or local dealers to provide prices on vehicles and the state bid. We have tried a number of times in my one town, can't do it. We end up getting all our stuff from out either Oneonta and or Rochester. We just don't, I don't know what the association here is, but the dealers here don't seem to want to do a state bid. It's a problem.
Well,
So I get it, and I hate to spend my money somewhere. At least one thing, guys, it's within our country and it's within our state. So I mean, you gotta look at the positive side of this.
okay. Mr. Rappaio, never mind. Moving right along here, we're gonna go into reports. 911.
Thank you. Had a pretty average month this is a stat for October. Wire line calls were down. Actually, this is one of the first times we've been below 1,000 per month, but our wireless 911 calls were actually up a little bit, even out for that. You'll notice that the emergency calls answered within 10 seconds went up to around our normal average. We're back up 83.4%. And that's largely because our 4 new hires came out of Recruit Academy and actually are on the floor now. So it's another direct correlation to us having appropriate staff. So we still currently are down 3 full-time positions, 2 part-time positions to be at full capacity. But hopefully this coming summer we'll be closer to that again. One thing of note, the 23 requests for recorded audio files, those are the current requests that we pulled data for the DA's office or local law enforcement or whatever. That's the number that we're going to start seeing significantly increase. The number that we're working with the DA's office right now is 150 plus to just try and pull the CAD reports and the phone calls for. So, and that's in preparation to that automatic discovery piece. So that 123 is going to go up, or sorry, that 23 is going to go up significantly. And we're not even talking about any of the traffic violations or anything at this point in time. So that number will be something that we'll probably start talking about semi-regularly each month. Real quick, overview of my activity in October. We did attend a summit, Motorola Summit, for our CAD and records management system that we're in the process of rolling out with the Sheriff's Office. There was also there was conference, went to 9 different sessions, learned about new portions of the software, updates, as well as learn a lot about the records management piece. So that'll help us out a ton going into this records management project that we just recently started over the past month. So as I mentioned, we started over the past month working with the Sheriff's Office on the records management piece, which was pretty much 3 days a week for the majority of October, with myself as well as our communications technician working on that. So ProQA, we went live. It's the emergency medical dispatch protocol software. We went live with that at the beginning of October. That's been going pretty decently. We've got some hard data now that we can actually do and start looking into with making sure that we're following the protocols as we should be, as well as things that we can do to try and make things more efficient and better. So that software is really definitely paying off. So interoperability, worked with the team on Super Dirt Week to get some interop equipment out there and some support as well. And then I attended the New York State Grants Workshop in Syracuse to learn about the new stuff that's coming out as far as grant opportunities. So I think that's the high level for what we had going on in October.
Okay, any questions from anyone? Moving right along. EMS.
Good morning.
EMS.
You wanna go first?
Go ahead.
We talked about the medical director, which was a large piece of my report this month. Thank you for that. We're happy to be moving forward. The Stop the Bleed training, a large push through 2019 was to get trainers trained so they can in turn train their own organizations. We continue to see a piece of that where we trained the SROs and some of the law enforcement officers, and now any Stop the Bleed has changed their training, their trainer requirements a little bit so that any sworn officer can now be a trainer. They don't have to have an EMT background. Most of them have tactical combat casualty care, which is part of that hemorrhage control. So we're excited to have them on board and be able to have them complete some training in their own organizations. Central Square School District held a couple of sessions on November 1st for their superintendent's conference day. Our fire people handled that for us, thankfully. I attended a webinar on access and functional needs for a point of distribution. So we worked quite closely with the health department, and in the event that they had to open up a point of distribution where they had to give out a large amount of medicine or some preventative measure, this just looked at making sure that we're prepared to handle members of the public who have access and functional needs. So we had previously done a couple-day training through the emergency management office on this, but it looked at a specific application for a pod. So that was really good information. I attended the first class in a series of 5 courses for the FEMA Emergency Management Basic Academy. This 5-course series is now required for an agency to receive FEMA funding. You have to have this 5-course series. So they were previously offered at the Emergency Management Institute in Maryland, but they have teamed up with Oriskany, and so they're offering them at the State Preparedness Training Center. So they were very popular. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend the first part of the series because we were in the middle of this thing called lakeshore flooding. But I was able to catch the November one. So I'm looking forward to catching the rest of those in Oriskany early part of next year. The Community Safety Initiative, the Fire Law EMS subgroup, we met and looked at our 2000 in training schedule, just to see kind of where we're headed. Part of that is MCI plan training, both on refresher on the plan for our fire and EMS agencies, as well as some hands-on practice. I brought that to you guys last month. I did assist with the School Safety Summit. They were going to have Stop the Bleed, and their scheduling didn't allow for Stop the Bleed, but I did manage to get Director Pooley a few minutes in front of their agencies, because we are talking with CSI about communication between schools and our first responders. That's a big component of what we're trying to look at moving forward. So it was good that Director Pooley did get some FaceTime with them to talk about moving forward if they're looking at buying equipment, seeing how that could potentially assist with us so we can communicate with them in the event of an emergency. That's all. No more books.
Saved by the voice.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start with an addition to the sheet. You'll probably see it on the news later today or tomorrow. Just a reminder that tomorrow is going to be one of the twice a year instances where we test and blow all 40 radiological emergency sirens. That'll be at 1 o'clock tomorrow. There will be, a lot of press coverage, et cetera, to announce to the public that will be happening. But every once in a while, Kevin's folks will get a phone call or two saying what's going on when the people hear the sirens. I don't think anybody here lives in the 10 mile, but if you hear anything about it, it's regularly scheduled and publicized with the brochure that goes out to the people who live in the 10-mile circle. So that'll happen tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I'll hit the highlights here because some things we've talked about in the past that were in process. So I'll just hit the new items. Item 5, EMO staff participated in initial planning session with Coast Guard's Area Maritime Security Committee's cybersecurity training program. Coast Guard and other DHS agencies have a big push right now on cybersecurity, particularly since we are home to an international port and have a number of businesses that deal with international carriers or the shipping industry. This is a significant interest and value to us. Just to put it in perspective, one of the things it'll look at, for example, is hardening cyber systems so that someone with nefarious thoughts can't take over control of a ship that's trying to come into the harbor, and we have kind of small entry there and take over the navigation, which could then give them control of the ship and run it aground, run it into the Port Authority, what have you. So this will be an ongoing item. Item 4, our staff's preparing for distribution of new calcium iodide or KI tablets for the public that live within the 10 miles of the nuclear plants. When that arrives, we haven't been given a firm date. We'll be working with the health department, and media will go out for distribution of this to the public. And then item 2, EMO staff attended the semi-annual nuclear power pool meeting in Albany. This is where the state and federal folks, FEMA, all the nuclear companies in the state get together to undergo updated training, look at changes in the industry, etc. One of the big items that was discussed again, and will be ongoing discussions. There's 6 reactors in New York State. We have 3 of them, and by law, all the reactors pay money into a pot for emergency preparedness, of which we get a small percentage of, and that's all outlined in New York State law. April 20th of 2020, one of the downstate Indian Point reactors is going to shut down. So 15 months after this April, they will no longer be paying into the pot. 1 year after that, or April 2021, a year after the first one shuts down, the second Indian Point plant will shut down. So there will be 4 plants putting in money for the pot instead of 6. So in about a year and a half to 2 years, we could see some significant change to the money we get from the nuclear folks for our preparedness planning. It's been brought back when we thought FIPS was going to close. It was brought to the state, it was brought to Assemblyman Barkley, and I know other assemblymen throughout the state to start taking a look at it, because depending on how they do the distribution of the money, right now it's very heavily weighted downstate. It could be good for us, or the state could say they still want their $3 million up front, and because they get 50% of what's put into it, which then would put a real dent in what we get and what Monroe and Wayne will continue to get. So that's kind of the big item in the power pool question of right now is what's going to happen on the money for preparedness. That's all I have. Is there anything I can add or clarify?
Legislator Klein.
Yeah, if you could just hit on this, because you mentioned it, these iodine tablets.
Calcium iodide, yeah.
What's the shelf life? Because I remember it wasn't that long ago we distributed them before.
5 years.
So 5 years is a shelf life on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
Great.
Thank you.
Moving right along, fire coordinator.
Thank you. Not a whole lot, pretty much all our normal stuff. We look at the monthly report, we're actually, after this weekend, we're at 194 coordinator activations. Partially thankful to Mr. Pooley getting me up in the middle of the night.
I was on, you might as well see too.
Moving forward with training, our hazmat training, actually Oswego County weekend, we had, I think there's 84 people signed up for that right now in January. We just completed a aircraft rescue firefighter training class at the training center, and we are doing some work on the air crash truck before we take it back to the airport. So that's in pretty good shape. Running good now after installing a battery charger to keep the batteries up. Other classes you can see we got coming up. We do have the second phase of our hazmat technician training class. We completed module 1 in November. Now we'll be doing modules 2 and 3, which will give us 27 new or recertified hazmat technicians between county team to Oswego, City of Fulton. It's the only other noteworthy, which I didn't put down on here, but we had our monthly hazmat team meeting yesterday morning. Every December they have a breakfast meeting and get together and have breakfast and discuss things and do it just before Christmas. Gary House was in attendance, who is from Central Square, has been the second in charge of the hazmat team for about 13 or 14 years. He has recently retired and officially retired from the hazmat team yesterday and will be moving to North Carolina just before Christmas. So that's really all I got.
Okay. Any questions for fire coordinator? Hearing none. All right, move right along to probation.
As far as raise the age, we don't really have a lot to report. Our numbers are still a lot lower than we projected. At this point, we've had 22 16-year-olds and one 17-year-old since they just started October 1st. So numbers aren't really increasing a whole lot. We did recently submit for some reimbursement, a small amount of reimbursement for past expenses, which is mostly training that we're required to send officers through. It's like $2,000 or whatever, but we're entitled to the reimbursement, so we submitted for it. As far as the CBI grant, we're running our 6th booth right now in the jail, which should be done, well, before the holidays, pretty much. And I think I mentioned last meeting that we were approved for the grant to be extended for next year, so we'll be running groups next year. So, pretty much all that.
Any questions for probation? So, contrary to what the minority leader may feel that the majority leader has for a countdown at his house, he doesn't have a countdown for when he's done. So I totally lapsed and forgot that this is your last meeting too. So on behalf of the Public Safety Committee, and I know all the departments as well, I want to thank you for your service to the Public Safety Committee and this being your last one as well. So contrary to your belief that I'm checking the boxes when you're gone.
Meetings won't be the same.
I don't know if that's a clap of appreciation that I'm leaving.
Well, I did notice that all the department heads were clapping that day. No, it's okay. Well, with that, I do want to thank everybody for such a great year here with the Public Safety Committee, all the department heads, all the legislators who have served on this committee. I think we've got a lot accomplished this year. We're in a good place safety-wise in this county. I think we're doing a lot of good things. No matter who's where come January, I think we can be proud of what we've done. If I am in this seat again in January, please plan on a community safety initiative update on where we are and everything, just to bring everybody up to speed, because there's been a lot that's been done with that subcommittee as well. I know we get briefed from each department, so that's good. Another thing that I'm looking forward to in next year is some highway safety issues, particularly as we've talked with some members of our Amish community and traveling with us, some more education along that lines as well. With that, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Merry Christmas to all. Hopefully you have a happy New Year, happy retirement to our legislators who are moving on from this job. I want to thank you for that. And for everybody else who's coming back, God bless you and hold on to the seat. Go ahead, Margaret.
Is anything from search and rescue? Do they want to give anything?
Well, they gave a whole report last month.
Yeah.
I mean, she's willing to give some. I don't know if you
I
had.
can give an
any
update.
call.
Sure. Yeah, we're continuing to accept applications for our 2020 training academy that will be held starting in late February, early March. That's in conjunction with Broward County Search and Rescue Team. And this coming Wednesday evening, there'll be a meet and greet at the Brewerton Fire Department on Route 11 for anybody who's interested in learning more about the team. And then the applications are accepted through January. And we also did a National Search and Rescue Hug a Tree presentation a couple weeks ago for Girl Scouts in the APW school district. Had about 35 scouts and their parents there. And this is a program that over the last few years, we've gotten grant funding from the Stewart's Foundation to get educational programs and materials together to distribute to groups. And it's been very successful. They were a really great group of kids and it was a lot of fun. Anyone who's interested in arranging for a presentation for a youth group or parents, just let me know, or you can contact the team's Facebook page. And basically it tells a story of how the program began when a young boy was lost and what happens when a search is activated, and things for adults and kids to do to help them stay safer if they're lost in the woods. So it's been very successful so far. And on another note, I do have a news release announcing the next step in the legislature considering the resolution that was adopted today on the criminal justice reform. So I can pass that out. We've been working with Assemblyman Barclay's office, Senator Ritchie, Sheriff Hilton, and District Attorney Boots all had some input into the resolution and into the news release. So I'll pass this out.
Okay. DA, do you have anything?
Actually, I just wanted to say thank you to the committee members. Over the last couple of weeks, been conferencing quite a bit with a lot of other DAs across central New York, across all of New York State regarding the upcoming discovery and bail reform, and kind of talking about what we've done as offices, what we've added for next year. And I can say without a doubt, you have been more supportive of me and the sheriff and 911 than most of your counterparts across the country. Recognizing that this is going to be a big change requiring concerted effort. And I really do appreciate you giving careful consideration and giving additional resources and personnel to try to meet these obligations.
Well, just be careful, it hasn't passed yet.
But truly, I appreciate it again because you have all, again, speaking with you personally, with the committee meetings, given it a lot of thought and consideration, and trying to be mindful of your obligation to public safety and your constituents. And I really respect that. Appreciate it.
All right. So, nothing more. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Legislator Klein makes a motion, second by Legislator Potter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're opposed? Margin dollar than I. Still in the thing.
I'll hold that quiet.
Won't miss it.
Just bring it on.
Hey,